everybody. This is Justin back with UNCUT Astrology for the second edition of UNCUT Astrology. First of all, thank you everyone for the feedback. I was really excited to unleash a different side of me, and it just felt good to get out. So again, my weekly updates, I have two of them. One will be more of educational astrology and how the planet formations affect your life directly. And this channel is going to be a little bit more of kind of an uncut view to understand how these events affect the world at large. I have, my first channel is more for moderate to advanced astrology followers, and this is for people just getting used to astrology and to understand. I think it's easier to understand on a mundane level, because I had some friends that follow me and they're like, Justin, I don't understand what the glyphs mean and the transits and this, that, and the other. But they end up taking well to my uncut version. So anyways, so this broadcast is for April the 13th through the 20th. And there's a couple overarching themes to this week, middle April. And first of which is the sun having a pretty big conversation with the stellium that's being shared between Capricorn and Aquarius. That's Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. So on a mundane level, I think that this is kind of like the ultimate power struggle. And, the sun paired with Saturn and Pluto, it definitely indicates kind of struggle with power. And then Jupiter is in this square, when all power is kind of lost, it kind of leads to like a depressed state or motivation, lack of will, when you're talking about all these three planets grouped together. And I'm going to show you in the world how this is kind of playing out. On the positive, Mercury has moved out of Pisces. So I feel like we've been all like suffering from this state of being out of body and out of touch with reality, as it seems that time, space, and consciousness has stopped the last 30 days. And every day feels like a month. And it's funny because we're not even in retrograde, and that's normally what really slows time down. All planets are actually direct right now, but you sure as hell doesn't feel like it. But Mercury's out of Pisces, so this fogginess, and it's no longer grouped with Neptune. So, there's been a heavy dose of lying and propaganda and fake news and undermining. People that have Mercury, Neptune are kind of like the best marketers because they're pretty good at spinning the yarn. So it seems like we're coming out of this delusional state in Pisces, and we're moving into Aries. And Aries is much more quick thinking, and it's almost like we're backlogged with information. And the way I see this is, part of the Mercury Neptune energy is like, there's been a level of cognitive dissonance in this country and the world at large that I just have a hard time understanding. And it's one of the reasons why I created this secondary show. Like, if we haven't learned from the past, like even this going back to this past election, like if we don't understand how the media controls public thought, like, do we go through amnesia like every day and forget about these things? And how agendas get pushed across the board, and how the left use celebrities to kind of further brainwash the masses. It's disturbing. But I think with Mercury coming in out of Pisces, I think people are starting to wake up a little bit. And because people are waking up slowly, I see like this proverbial tug of war of power. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. So the White House rejects bailouts for the Postal Service battered by coronavirus. So here's the deal. Like, first of all, like people that are working in grocery stores and working for the post office, not only they should be paid more, they should be paid like hazard pay because, the risks of their job have increasingly become more detrimental. And for not further aid to be given to these companies, it's baffling. So when we're talking about, finally Mars is kind of moving away slowly from Saturn, but with that, we're seeing like an overreach of control. And this happened in Manchester. But this police officer basically was threatening this man with pepper spray. And get this, so this guy was going grocery shopping for his elderly mother because we want to keep the elders safe, right? So we send people that are more healthy out to their aid. And what's the result of that? This guy gets completely intimidated, complete overreach, arrested, just by simply doing a Good Samaritan act, keeping his mother at home with a low immunity, safe. So what's the end? So what do we want? Do we want the elderly going out in public to get their own groceries and then dying? And then we try to find a way around that, and like this gentleman's trying to do, provide a good cause, and he gets arrested. So again, there's polarity to this. It's a tug of war. So on the flip side, the city of Salinas deems all workers essential, orders everyone back to work on Monday. So this is, again, it's the balance of power, a power struggle. I have strong views about this virus. The death rate is less than, I think it's right around 1%. No more or less deaths than the seasonal flu. Back when H1N1 came out, there was 12,000 deaths in the first few months. Do you remember the world shutting down back then? There's on average about 60,000 deaths a year from the flu. Do we shut down the world every year in flu season? Absolutely not. You can't shut down a commerce-based society. Apple and Google bring a COVID-19 contact tracing to 3 billion people. So, if you want to understand what's going to go on with the world or what's going to be launched here, you pay attention to what China is doing. They track all of their citizens. They have a grading system, and you get points if you're a good citizen. So if you follow all the rules and you conform to slavery, you're allowed. You get X amount of points. Then when you're not, you're graded negatively, and they have facial recognition, all this crazy shit. They're actually tracking people with their cell phones to try to contain the virus. So, welcome to that reality. How many of you will be enjoying that, knowing not that Google doesn't already track every step and move you make in your life, but what if you're leaving the house and you get a warning on your phone saying to go back home because you're at risk of violating whatever they want to call it, the COVID-19 house arrest plan. Trump administration opposes Bill Gates' vaccine tracking system on personal liberty grounds. Thank you for reminding us that the Constitution still exists in this country. And by the way, Bill Gates, go away. You're not even a doctor. What are you doing with vaccines? Because you got stake in the game. You and Fauci. I like seeing this. So, a number of churches around the U.S. plan to open their doors during Easter Sunday services, defying orders against mass gatherings during the coronavirus outbreak. All right, again, so this is the tug of war between power and control. What are we willing to give up? I had a funny thought the other day. Like, what if we actually all celebrated the 4th of July, the day of our independence, all indoors? Wouldn't that be wild and ironic? Texas governor will issue executive order next week on reopening of businesses. Thank you. It seems like people are understanding that one, this virus is much greater than is being spun much greater than what it is. Not just saying that, we can't be cautious. It's funny that there's a certain demographic in which this virus is affecting, and the 50 to 70 plus year bracket. And I'm not saying this about all people in that range, but I will say that there's some connective tissue and similarities to them. These are the people that blindly take the advice of their doctors. They get their yearly flu vaccines. They are the biggest contributor to pharmaceutical drugs. They still drink out of the tap with fluoride in it. They don't believe in chemtrails, which are true. And for the most part, they all eat, a vast majority don't eat very healthy. It's probably the biggest demographic that eats GMO foods. And you wonder, this is the main demographic that's getting ill. And, they're saying that, well, healthy people are getting this too. I want to know what your definition of healthy is. You could have no pre-existing conditions and be a 35-year-old healthy male, but you'd be eating GMOs, drinking and smoking cigarettes every day. Is that considered healthy? There's been a few articles that I saved that were taken down that would suggest they're fudging the numbers of coronavirus, that hospital personnel are being incentivized, if someone did die of a pre-existing condition, to label it COVID-19. So it's interesting to see the difference in polarities of Texas and like a state like Michigan. Stay-at-home order now bans visits to friends, relatives, and governors. So yeah, this guy got on the bus because he wasn't wearing a face mask, and they're literally dragging him out of the bus forcefully. So what the fuck? So here's the deal. They tell us that to don't buy masks because those are being wiped out and they're needed for the in-house hospital professionals. So they tell us not to get these things, right? And then they tell us that we can't use public transportation, enter grocery stores, what have you, without having a mask on. And the last I checked, that this virus was not noted to be an airborne virus. Big chain stores are barring consumers from buying non-essential items, i.e. clothing, electronics, games, etc. we talked last week about how people are getting fined and arrested for going to the beach. A man getting handcuffed for being too close to his daughter, throwing her slow pitches, softball in the park. Like, there's also a new article that's banning people from working outside. So even if you're practicing social distancing to the 100% degree, every day, still more and more freedoms are being raped from us. Like, what are we supposed to do? We can't work out. We can't relieve our stress. We can't meet in, first it was meeting with people with 50 or more. Now we can't even meet with friends, neighbors, relatives. Oh, if someone passes away, we can't even have a funeral. Now we can't even, so if you want to, while you're stuck in isolation and you want to have a game night with your family, you can't go out and buy Hungry Hippos, Monopoly, Parcheesi, whatever people are playing today. Like, what is wrong with that? A little wholesome entertainment. This is like pre-1900s. We're all just going to sit around in circles and read to each other from 20 feet apart. We're going to play like hand puppets, like, hi ho, Kermit Frog. Let's play today. Oh no, I got coronavirus. Ah! Ridiculous. So there's something I really want to point on, and I'm very careful how I say this because Mercury's in Aries, conjunct Chiron. So I want to be careful that I say this with all the best intentions. I want to talk about savior consciousness. Whether that you practice a various faith or dogma, and you believe that as long as you believe in this path, this way, that you're going to be saved and everything's going to be okay. On the flip side, if you are someone that follows QAnon and you think all these earthquakes are going on because of all these underground bases are being bombed, and Trump is going to lead us to the promised land, and the 3 days of darkness, so everything is going to be shut down to retake over the world. Those are all fun to believe in, but savior consciousness is just, it's very dangerous. It's a way to really give away your power. You don't think that the powers that are want you to think that something's going to come and sweep you off your feet and you have nothing to worry about? When that happens, no one engages. No one tries to dig for truth. There's not a sharing of information. No one peacefully protests. No one objects to the status quo. There's a big, I'll even take it further. And I'm someone that has studied many modalities. I've been advancing my spiritual tool belt all the way back to 2008. And there's a big saying within the spiritual community of, all the stuff going on in the world, I'm just not going to give it energy. I'm not going to give it energy. I don't want to bring that into my reality. Well, the thing is, you're part of this world. And when you just not give things energy, you're just turning your head blindly. And people have said to me in debates that, oh, even in bondage, we are free. What? Yes, there's something to law of attraction. Yes, what you give energy to grows. I'm gonna give this to you from a pure astrological perspective, because this is an astrology channel. This is Earth is a rehab center for souls. We come here to grow and graduate. We don't come here to get everything taken care for us. I'm someone who's been through, a lifetime of trauma. And even when I had some breakthroughs, when I found some healing in a form of shamanism, when I had literally soul retrievals where pieces and parts of my soul were fragmented and lost in other dimensions because of some of the heinous acts against me. Yes, those encounters, those healings helped, but I still had to do the work. From an astrology perspective, that's not how Saturn works. Our Saturn cycles are for us to grow and deal with. It's not made for someone else to do the work, the healing for us. That's not how it works here. So you know what? I don't care if you're a born-again Christian or a QAnon follower or, a spiritual guru. Y'all better start giving this some energy. Because you know what? By us turning our fucking head day after day after day, it's the whole reason why we're here right now. The whole reason why we lost almost all the freedoms we had. Because no one here on this planet get anything, any energy anymore. Be the change you want to see in the world. Start with yourself. The biggest part of this on a personal level, with the square from the sun to Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn, our deepest, most buried traumas and fears are coming to the surface. It's creating a depressed state. Full moon in Libra is the other. It's us looking ourselves in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, you have to face yourself. No one is going to come in and take care of that for you. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong to have a belief in a higher power. I believe astrology is a higher intelligence. I'm a life is kind of fated type of person. That's just my own point of view based on having 2 personal astrologers the last 5 years of my life and learning the craft myself. You can't run from this. If I know a heavy transit is coming and I'm going to hide under my bed in the fetal position, hoping that I'm not going to, hoping to avoid a heavy aspect or transit. Well, if I do that, if I'm hiding under my bed, that bed's going to collapse on me. We're here to do the work. I encourage all of you to give this energy. Sun is going to hit Uranus by the end of the week. That's rebelling against ourselves, rebelling against who we are, rebelling against authority. Knowledge is power. I'm seeing Fauci t-shirts going on sale. Like we're heralding up as some type of hero. He's in Bill Gates' pocket. Wake up. Again, I'll quote my mentor, Robert Phoenix. Use your mind to discern what's real. Use your heart to see what's possible. The more you actually give energy to something, the more shifts in consciousness. From a shamanic view, when people gather, people assemble, the energy doesn't add, it multiplies. There's been studies of groups of 10,000 or more people that gather together to meditate on world peace. Violence and crime in that same time period decreased. I think you only need 10% of this planet to be positive in order for it to shift and shatter this matrix. My theory is if somehow we could collectively get together and all give something energy, and just for a moment, for all of us just to meditate on the idea of just a loving feeling in our hearts. All at the same time. That action alone will completely dismantle this control matrix. You want to talk about the second coming, you want to talk about ascension, that's ascension. That is a shift in consciousness right there. And it's, you know what it is? It's all by giving it energy. This is Justin with I'm Your Aid Astrology. I'm not your coach. I'm not your guru. I'm not your guide. I'm your aid. I'm your angel in disguise. I help you empower you. Thank you for tuning in to UNCUT Astrology. May you all walk in beauty.